Are you ready to unlock the secret skill that separates the wealthy from the rest? Your brain isn't just for thinking. It can be trained to create more money, spot opportunities, and build lasting wealth. In this video, you'll discover actionable strategies to rewire your habits, sharpen your financial intuition, and cultivate a mindset that attracts abundance every single day. If you're committed to turning knowledge into real-world results and mastering the mental skills of the rich, this video is for you. Subscribe to Audiobook every day and transform the way your mind earns, grows, and multiplies wealth. Number 1. Rewire daily habits for wealth. Wealth does not appear by accident. It is a reflection of the habits we cultivate every day, the small decisions we make, and the patterns we repeat consistently over time. To create lasting financial success, the first and most crucial step is to examine the daily routines that shape your thoughts, actions, and ultimately your results. Habits are the invisible architecture of your life. They determine whether you drift through circumstances or actively design your reality. Rewiring your daily habits for wealth is not about radical overnight transformations. It is about deliberate, consistent, and mindful shifts that compound into extraordinary results over time. The foundation of rewiring habits begins with awareness. Observe the way your day unfolds. Notice the moments when money thoughts, decisions, and behaviors arise. How do you approach income, spending, and investment? Are you reactive, following impulses shaped by past conditioning, or are you proactive, intentionally guiding your actions toward financial growth? Wealth begins in the mind, and the patterns you repeat unconsciously can either build or erode your financial potential. Start by mapping your current routines. Write down your morning habits, your workday behaviors, and your evening reflections. This mapping is not to judge yourself, but to illuminate the areas that either support or sabotage your financial goals. Awareness is the first step toward mastery. Without it, change is impossible. Once awareness is established, the next step is substitution. Habits are formed through repetition, so replacing low-value actions with high-value actions is the key. For example, notice how often energy is spent on distractions, mindless scrolling on social media, excessive television, or gossiping. Each of these consumes attention and drains mental energy without adding wealth. Replace these with habits that directly or indirectly contribute to your growth. Read for at least 30 minutes daily on finance, entrepreneurship, or personal development. Review your budget and track your spending. Meditate to clarify priorities and reduce reactive impulses. Even small incremental replacements compound over time, like drops filling a reservoir, eventually creating momentum that propels you toward wealth. Consistency is the silent force that magnifies habits into results. Rare bursts of productivity or occasional discipline produce little. Wealth is the accumulation of countless repeated actions performed consistently. Creating a morning ritual, for example, sets the tone for your entire day. Begin with activities that energize your mind and body. Wake up early, hydrate, exercise, journal, and review your financial goals. These actions, performed daily, train the mind to expect purpose, clarity, and focus. The morning becomes a sacred period where the nervous system aligns with ambition, the subconscious mind accepts abundance as normal, and decisions throughout the day reinforce your financial path. Another critical element in rewiring habits for wealth is environmental design. Humans are highly influenced by surroundings. If your environment constantly cues scarcity, distraction, or mediocrity, habits will falter, no matter how disciplined you try to be. Audit your physical and digital environment. Clear clutter that represents indecision or waste. Surround yourself with symbols and tools of growth. Books, financial tracking apps, vision boards, or a dedicated workspace that inspires focus. Beyond the physical, cultivate a social environment that reinforces your ambitions. Engage with people who challenge you, teach you, and motivate you to think bigger. The brain adapts to signals from its environment. By designing a space and social network that prioritizes growth, wealth-oriented habits are more likely to stick and flourish. Time management is equally important in habit rewiring. Many people waste hours on tasks that feel urgent but are irrelevant to long-term wealth. Discipline your schedule to prioritize high-value activities. This includes income-generating tasks, skill building, strategic networking, and personal growth. Use techniques such as time blocking to ensure that your most important actions are performed during periods of peak energy. Avoid multitasking, as it fragments attention and diminishes quality. Wealth is rarely built through distraction. It is built through concentrated, focused effort on activities that produce measurable results. Every hour you reclaim from trivialities is an hour reinvested into your financial future. Habits are not only about action, they are about mindset. Thoughts influence actions, and repeated thoughts shape your emotional and behavioral patterns. Identify limiting beliefs that undermine financial confidence. Ideas such as money is scarce, I don't deserve wealth, or rich people are greedy. These subconscious beliefs are often reinforced daily through media, peer pressure, or childhood conditioning. Challenge them through affirmations, visualization, and reflection. Replace scarcity with abundance, fear with curiosity, and hesitation with initiative. Each thought repeated becomes a neural pathway, guiding your decisions subconsciously. Rewiring daily habits means training your brain to automatically think and act in ways that align with financial growth. Small wins fuel momentum. Do not underestimate the compounding power of incremental success. Celebrate each decision that supports your wealth journey. A smart purchase, a completed project, a learned skill, or a financial goal achieved. Recording progress through journals or digital trackers reinforces positive behavior, creating dopamine feedback loops that encourage repetition. Momentum is the invisible force behind habit formation. Each day, each action, each choice contributes to a trajectory that either moves toward financial independence or drifts away from it. Accountability and reflection solidify new habits. Without feedback, habits can stagnate or revert. Implement daily or weekly reflection sessions. Review your progress, assess failures without judgment, and adjust strategies. Seek accountability through mentors, peer groups, or personal tracking systems. External and internal accountability ensures that habits do not remain abstract intentions, but become actionable, measurable practices. Wealth is not a vague aspiration, it is a result of deliberate, disciplined action, constantly refined through reflection and learning. Resilience is also a habit that directly affects wealth. Challenges, setbacks, and unexpected financial hurdles are inevitable. Those who succeed are not those who avoid failure, but those who respond effectively. Cultivate a habit of reframing obstacles as opportunities. Train the mind to stay calm under pressure, analyze situations rationally, and take decisive action despite uncertainty. This mental resilience ensures that habits persist even in adversity, that the brain does not revert to old patterns of scarcity thinking, and that financial progress remains uninterrupted. Finally, the reward of rewiring daily habits for wealth is not only financial, it is transformational. As habits shift, the entire perception of life changes. Time, money, decisions, and energy are managed with clarity and purpose. A habit of early planning, consistent learning, disciplined saving, and focused action generates confidence, freedom, and peace of mind. The wealth achieved is a natural byproduct of the person you have become. Disciplined, aware, resilient and proactive. Habits build character, and character builds wealth. To summarize, rewiring daily habits for wealth requires awareness, deliberate substitution of low-value actions with high-value actions, consistent execution, environmental optimization, strategic time management, mindset conditioning, celebration of small wins, reflection and accountability, and cultivation of resilience. Each element reinforces the others, creating a self-sustaining cycle that propels financial growth. Wealth is not a sudden event. It is a skill honed through daily practice. By consciously redesigning habits, each day becomes an opportunity to train the brain, rewire neural patterns, and steadily create the life of abundance and financial mastery that was once imagined but is now fully within reach. Every choice, every repeated action, every small discipline matters. The brain is malleable, capable of forming new pathways, adopting new standards, and embracing new identities. Daily habits are the instrument of transformation. Wealth begins here, not in luck, not in inheritance, not in fleeting motivation, but in the deliberate, consistent, mindful rewiring of your daily routines. Each morning, each decision, each small step accumulates, building a life where abundance is inevitable and financial mastery becomes second nature. Wealth is a skill, and the skill is forged one habit at a time. This chapter alone can serve as the blueprint for financial transformation, offering a practical, actionable roadmap. Master these habits, and the brain naturally aligns with prosperity. Ignore them, and external circumstances will continue to dictate results. The choice is daily, immediate, and irreversible. Rewire the brain for wealth, and life will follow the design of your disciplined mind. Number 2. Program mindset loops for prosperity. The mind is a remarkable machine, capable of generating endless possibilities, yet it is only as effective as the loops of thought it continuously cycles through. Prosperity is not a random event. It is a state of mind cultivated by repeated mental patterns that reinforce opportunity, abundance, and proactive decision-making. To program mindset loops for prosperity means deliberately shaping the thoughts and internal conversations that run automatically in your brain. These loops influence perception, behavior, and ultimately the reality you create. By designing mental routines that consistently prioritize growth, opportunity, and abundance, the brain begins to respond as if wealth is an expected outcome, making prosperity a natural byproduct of the way you think and act. The first step is recognizing the current loops operating in the mind. Most individuals unconsciously run cycles of limitation, fear, and scarcity, triggered by past experiences, cultural messaging, or habitual thinking. These mental patterns dictate automatic responses: hesitation when opportunity arises, excessive caution with resources, or unconscious undervaluation of oneself. Awareness of these loops is critical. By observing the nature of recurring thoughts, emotional reactions, and automatic judgments, it becomes possible to intervene and redirect mental energy toward loops that encourage growth. Tracking thought patterns through journaling or reflective meditation exposes recurring loops that either accelerate or obstruct prosperity. Once awareness is established, deliberate repetition is the tool to reprogram the mind. Just as software updates overwrite older versions, repeated, purposeful thoughts and mental exercises create new neural pathways. Begin by consistently focusing on opportunities instead of obstacles. Each day, dedicate time to envision the success you are capable of achieving, not as a distant dream, but as an inevitable outcome of your actions. Visualization is powerful when paired with feeling. The brain does not differentiate vividly imagined experiences from real events. By repeatedly imagining financial growth, problem solving with creativity, and executing actions aligned with prosperity, the mind internalizes success as a default setting. Affirmations are another mechanism for programming mindset loops, but their effectiveness lies in specificity and emotional intensity. Generic statements rarely penetrate deeply. The mind requires precision and connection. Craft statements that reflect concrete results, such as "I identify profitable opportunities daily," or "I make decisions that increase my financial growth every hour." Recite these phrases during high-focus periods, morning routines, meditation sessions, or moments of quiet reflection. The repetition transforms abstract desires into ingrained expectations, gradually reshaping behavior and decision-making processes without conscious effort. Language and self-talk are critical components in sustaining prosperity loops. Every internal statement is either a reinforcement of limitation or a reinforcement of abundance. Replace language that diminishes potential with language that empowers. "I can't afford this" transforms into "I choose the best use of resources for my growth." "This is too risky" becomes "I calculate risk and act with confidence." The conscious adjustment of verbal loops gradually rewires the subconscious, aligning emotional responses with wealth-oriented thinking. Every phrase repeated, every decision verbalized internally strengthens the connection between thought and action in favor of financial success. Beyond internal dialogue, external inputs profoundly influence mental programming. The brain is constantly absorbing patterns from media, relationships, and environments. Curate information sources that reinforce prosperity loops, books, podcasts, and mentorship from those who exemplify financial mastery. Surrounding oneself with ideas of innovation, abundance, and disciplined growth trains the mind to internalize these behaviors as normal and attainable. Equally important is distancing from negativity, gossip, or scarcity-driven narratives, which can activate destructive loops that undo even the most deliberate internal programming. Consistency in external inputs ensures that prosperity loops are reinforced at multiple levels. Habits of reflection and mental rehearsal consolidate these loops. Each day, spend time reviewing decisions, evaluating outcomes, and imagining alternative scenarios. This reflection serves as both calibration and reinforcement. The mind begins to anticipate high-value responses automatically, forming efficient loops that reduce indecision and hesitation. Prosperous thinking is not reactive. It is predictive and anticipatory, allowing for confident action in complex financial landscapes. Mental rehearsal creates readiness, turning potential opportunities into tangible results, and it strengthens the neurological patterns that drive consistent success. Gratitude is an often overlooked accelerator in programming prosperity loops. Recognizing what is already abundant, skills, relationships, opportunities, and resources, creates a positive feedback loop in the brain. Gratitude trains the mind to notice value, detect possibilities, and respond creatively. Each expression of gratitude, whether through journaling, reflection, or sharing appreciation, reinforces a mental pattern that sees growth and abundance rather than limitation. Prosperity loops are magnified when the mind consistently identifies existing advantages and builds upon them. Decision-making is another area where programmed loops dictate outcomes. Individuals with prosperous mindsets do not rely solely on inspiration or fleeting motivation. They develop internal circuits that assess risk, evaluate opportunity, and execute swiftly. This mental automation is the result of repeated reflection, study, and action. By consciously practicing decisions that align with growth, the mind becomes trained to act decisively under uncertainty. Each choice that prioritizes investment in skill, knowledge, or strategic opportunity strengthens the loop of confident, wealth-oriented thinking. Emotional regulation is central to sustaining these loops. Prosperity-minded individuals experience challenges and setbacks, yet their mental programming allows them to maintain equilibrium. When fear, doubt, or frustration arises, the practiced loops redirect attention to actionable solutions rather than reactive complaint. Emotional mastery strengthens the neural pathways that favor growth, resilience, and strategic focus. The more the mind cycles through problem-solving instead of panic, the more natural and automatic wealth-oriented behavior becomes. Over time, these loops compound in ways that extend beyond direct financial outcomes. The brain begins to recognize patterns, anticipate opportunities, and make connections that were previously invisible. Creativity, adaptability, and foresight emerge as natural byproducts of programmed mental circuits. Prosperity loops also influence relationships, communication, and time management, all of which reinforce the overarching cycle of wealth creation. The mind, trained through deliberate repetition, functions like a magnet for opportunity, detecting possibilities and acting decisively in alignment with abundance. The final component of programming mindset loops is continuous refinement. Mental patterns are not static. They require periodic evaluation and adjustment. Each success, failure, or unforeseen challenge provides feedback to improve loops, making them sharper, faster, and more effective. A prosperous mind is flexible, yet disciplined, capable of evolving in response to changing circumstances, while maintaining the integrity of its core wealth-oriented patterns. Continuous refinement ensures that prosperity loops remain efficient, effective, and aligned with long-term goals. By deliberately designing and repeating mental patterns that favor opportunity, resilience, and abundance, the brain begins to operate automatically in a state of financial alignment. Prosperity becomes less about chasing wealth and more about living in a mindset that naturally generates it. These loops create an internal ecosystem where decisions, focus, and creativity consistently converge toward growth. The mind learns to expect abundance, to recognize it when it appears, and to act on it with clarity and confidence. Programming mindset loops for prosperity is a skill that combines awareness, repetition, emotional mastery, strategic input, reflection, and refinement. It is the art of designing the internal dialogue, thought sequences, and mental habits that automatically lead to wealth. Each deliberate thought, visualization, and affirmation strengthens neural circuits, creating a self-reinforcing system where abundance becomes the expected outcome. This skill, practiced daily, transforms not just finances, but the entire experience of life, enabling a person to navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and grow consistently. The mind is both the architect and the engine of wealth. When loops are consciously designed and repeated with intensity, clarity, and purpose, prosperity is no longer a distant hope. It becomes an inherent aspect of thought and action. Every decision, every reflection, every moment of mental rehearsal contributes to a mind wired for abundance. The process is precise, deliberate, and patient, yet the rewards are exponential. Programming mindset loops for prosperity creates a life where opportunity is recognized instantly, decisions are executed confidently, and wealth grows as a natural consequence of a mind trained to expect it. Number 3. Upgrade decisions through mental discipline. Every decision we make has a ripple effect, shaping not only immediate outcomes, but also the trajectory of our long-term success. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your choices, and the foundation of superior decision-making is mental discipline. Mental discipline is not an abstract concept reserved for philosophers or elite performers. It is a trainable skill that allows the mind to act with clarity, restraint, and foresight. By upgrading decisions through disciplined thinking, the brain moves from impulsive reaction to strategic action, creating consistent pathways toward wealth and personal mastery. The first step in this process is clarity of purpose. Decisions become difficult or inconsistent when values and goals are undefined. Mental discipline begins with a firm understanding of what matters most: financial security, personal growth, health, relationships, or long-term legacy. When goals are clear, the mind naturally filters choices through the lens of alignment. Every opportunity or challenge is evaluated based on whether it advances or detracts from the objective. This alignment eliminates wasted energy on trivial or counterproductive options and provides a compass for decisive action. Clarity transforms indecision into precision. Next comes the practice of delaying immediate gratification. The human mind instinctively seeks comfort, convenience, and instant pleasure, often at the cost of meaningful progress. Mental discipline trains the brain to pause before acting, weighing short-term satisfaction against long-term value. Simple exercises like pausing before a purchase, delaying responses to emotionally charged messages, or analyzing risks before a hasty investment build the neural pathways that prioritize strategic benefit over fleeting impulses. Each deliberate delay strengthens self-control, ensuring that decisions consistently serve higher objectives rather than reactive desires. Structured thinking frameworks enhance decision quality. Mental discipline is reinforced when the mind follows a systematic approach rather than relying on hunches or mood-driven judgments. Techniques such as pros and cons lists, risk-reward evaluation, scenario planning, and decision matrices provide an objective lens through which choices can be assessed. By formalizing the evaluation process, the mind reduces errors born from cognitive biases, emotional distortions, or social pressures. Over time, these frameworks become intuitive, allowing the brain to make rapid yet informed decisions without sacrificing strategic rigor. Self-awareness is an essential component of disciplined decision-making. Understanding personal tendencies, triggers, and habitual responses enables the mind to anticipate mistakes before they occur. If a pattern of overconfidence or impulsivity is recognized, preemptive measures can be implemented, such as consulting mentors, seeking alternative perspectives, or imposing stricter evaluation protocols. Awareness of cognitive blind spots prevents recurring errors and creates a feedback loop in which each decision informs and strengthens the next. Mental discipline is not merely about suppression of impulses, it is about informed control rooted in self-knowledge. Emotional regulation plays a critical role in decision quality. Stress, fear, excitement, or anger can distort perception and encourage choices that satisfy immediate feelings but undermine long-term goals. Mental discipline trains the brain to recognize emotional fluctuations without surrendering control to them. Techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, focused visualization, and reflection create a buffer between stimulus and response. By cultivating emotional equilibrium, the mind maintains a level of composure that allows for rational, objective, and profitable decisions regardless of external pressures or internal turbulence. Time management is deeply intertwined with decision quality. Mental discipline ensures that important choices receive adequate attention, while minor decisions do not consume disproportionate mental energy. High-value decisions often require focus, uninterrupted thinking, and analysis of potential outcomes. By scheduling periods dedicated to reflection and strategic planning, the mind develops a rhythm of concentrated decision-making, minimizing distractions that compromise judgment. Effective mental discipline involves knowing not only how to decide, but also when to decide, allocating cognitive resources to areas that yield the highest return on clarity and effort. Another layer of upgrading decisions involves learning from outcomes. Mental discipline is reinforced through deliberate reflection and assessment. Each decision, whether successful or flawed, contains lessons about timing, evaluation, execution, and personal tendencies. Journaling, analysis, and structured review allow the mind to internalize these lessons, refining future decisions and strengthening the neural pathways associated with sound judgment. Progress occurs not from luck, but from repeated cycles of action, reflection, and adjustment, creating a self-correcting system that continually elevates decision-making ability. Discipline also manifests through boundary setting. Many poor choices stem from external pressures, social expectations, or opportunistic distractions. A disciplined mind establishes firm boundaries, protecting time, energy, and resources from depletion by low-value influences. This includes defining limits on spending, commitments, social interactions, and information intake. By controlling inputs, the brain maintains clarity and focus, reducing the probability of decisions that divert from core objectives. Boundaries are a tool for preserving mental bandwidth, allowing the mind to operate at its highest decision-making capacity. Decision-making improvement is amplified by incremental training. Small, consistent exercises build the capacity for high-stakes choices. Practicing decisions in low-risk areas, such as personal routines, minor investments, or daily planning, strengthens confidence and sharpens judgment. Each successfully navigated choice reinforces the mental framework, making larger, more consequential decisions less intimidating and more precise. The brain thrives on repetition, and disciplined repetition of thoughtful choices gradually creates a default mode of effective decision-making. Accountability and mentorship further enhance mental discipline. Seeking guidance from individuals who have mastered their decision-making processes accelerates learning and reduces errors. By observing and modeling thought processes, analyzing rationale, and understanding consequences, the brain internalizes patterns of strategic judgment. Accountability ensures that decisions are not made in isolation, but are evaluated against standards of competence, ethics, and long-term value. Mental discipline grows exponentially when coupled with external calibration, as it merges internal self-control with external insight. Risk assessment is a critical skill within disciplined decision-making. Mental discipline teaches the mind to separate fear from rational evaluation, allowing for calculated risks rather than avoidance or reckless action. Every opportunity carries uncertainty, yet disciplined thinking identifies potential gains, mitigates potential losses, and frames decisions within a controlled strategy. By consistently applying risk analysis, the brain develops confidence in action and resilience to setbacks, ensuring that fear or indecision does not compromise the pursuit of wealth or progress. Consistency is the backbone of upgraded decisions. Even disciplined thinking is ineffective if applied sporadically. Mental discipline involves establishing patterns where decisions are systematically approached with strategy, clarity, and calmness. Over time, these repeated behaviors become second nature, and the brain instinctively applies rigorous analysis, emotional regulation, and strategic alignment to choices. Habits of disciplined decision-making compound, producing predictable, high-quality results that accelerate personal and financial growth. Finally, patience complements mental discipline. Not every choice yields immediate results, and the mind must withstand the tension between action and delayed reward. Patience ensures that impulsive shortcuts or hasty judgments do not derail progress. By accepting that quality decisions require time, analysis, and follow-through, the brain maintains composure and foresight. This patience, paired with disciplined execution, transforms ordinary choices into strategic moves that accumulate into substantial long-term success. Upgrading decisions through mental discipline is a comprehensive process that encompasses clarity of purpose, delayed gratification, structured frameworks, self-awareness, emotional regulation, time management, reflection, boundary setting, incremental practice, accountability, risk analysis, consistency, and patience. Each element reinforces the others, creating a mental ecosystem where thoughtful, rational, and strategic choices become habitual. Wealth and personal mastery are not the result of chance, but the cumulative outcome of disciplined decision-making repeated over time with precision and focus. The mind, once trained, functions like a high-performance engine. It evaluates, anticipates, and executes with accuracy. Impulsive reactions fade, uncertainty is managed with calm strategy, and each decision strengthens the trajectory toward growth. Mental discipline does not guarantee perfection, but guarantees that each choice is aligned with long-term goals, optimized for value, and executed with control. By upgrading decisions through disciplined thought, the brain becomes a tool of consistent prosperity, turning challenges into opportunities, mistakes into lessons, and every choice into a building block for a richer, more purposeful life. Number 4. Eliminate scarcity triggers from subconscious. The mind is constantly scanning the world for patterns, cues, and potential threats. For many, one of the most destructive patterns is scarcity thinking, a deeply ingrained subconscious belief that resources, opportunities, or wealth are limited. Scarcity triggers are subtle, often invisible, yet they govern decisions, behavior, and perception. They create hesitation, fear, and compromise, making the brain interpret life as a zero-sum game. Eliminating these triggers is not a superficial exercise. It is a profound reprogramming of perception, thought, and emotional response. It is the difference between living in a mindset of limitation and operating from a state of abundance and possibility. Scarcity triggers are often seeded early in life. Messages from parents, teachers, peers, or society create associations between effort and insufficient reward, risk and failure, or ambition and danger. Phrases such as "there's never enough," "money doesn't grow on trees," or "you can't have it all" embed neural circuits that influence choices unconsciously. Even subtle reinforcement from media, culture, and daily conversation strengthens these pathways. The brain becomes conditioned to expect shortage, making risk-taking, investment, and opportunity-seeking feel unnatural or dangerous. Recognizing that these patterns exist is the first step toward neutralizing their power. Awareness is the gateway to change. Begin by observing internal reactions to money, opportunities, or success. Notice moments of hesitation, doubt, or anxiety, particularly when they seem disproportionate to reality. These reactions are often the brain responding to subconscious scarcity cues rather than rational assessment. By labeling these patterns as scarcity triggers, the mind can separate instinct from informed choice. Awareness does not immediately erase these patterns, but it creates a conscious lens through which every reaction can be assessed, questioned, and recalibrated. Rewriting the subconscious requires repeated exposure to alternative, abundant narratives. Affirmations, visualization, and consistent mental rehearsal are key tools. Affirmations should be specific, emotionally charged, and repeated daily, such as "opportunities for growth are endless," or "wealth flows easily into my life." Visualization complements affirmations by allowing the brain to experience success in vivid detail. The subconscious responds to repeated sensory and emotional input, gradually replacing old scarcity patterns with new neural pathways that perceive abundance as the default state. Environment plays a critical role in maintaining or dismantling scarcity triggers. Surroundings, relationships, and daily inputs act as constant reinforcements of either limitation or possibility. Audit your social circles. Are they dominated by complaints, envy, or scarcity-based thinking? Curate media and information sources that inspire growth, creativity, and opportunity. Physical space also matters. Clutter, disorganization, or reminders of past limitations subtly reinforce scarcity loops. By intentionally shaping an environment that communicates abundance, the subconscious receives consistent signals that reinforce new patterns. Action is a direct method of neutralizing scarcity conditioning. The brain encodes experience more powerfully than theory. Taking deliberate steps toward growth, even when fear or doubt persists, creates neural proof that resources, opportunity, and success are accessible. Small wins, such as initiating a profitable project, learning a new skill, or investing thoughtfully, reinforce abundant thinking. Each successful action becomes a counterpoint to scarcity assumptions, slowly eroding old circuits while constructing new patterns of confidence and capability. Gratitude amplifies the rewiring process. Scarcity thinking often blinds individuals to the resources, opportunities, and achievements already present. By cultivating a daily practice of gratitude, the brain begins to identify abundance in tangible ways, rewiring perception. A gratitude journal, reflection on daily successes, or simply acknowledging resources and support trains the subconscious to focus on sufficiency rather than deficiency. As perception shifts, decisions and behavior increasingly align with growth rather than fear-driven limitation. Language shapes thought and consequently impacts the subconscious. Words carry implicit meaning, framing reality in subtle ways. Replace scarcity-oriented language with expressions of potential and abundance. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," frame it as, "I am allocating resources strategically to maximize growth." Phrases like "I never have enough" should be replaced with statements emphasizing opportunity and potential. Over time, repeated verbal reframing becomes internalized, altering subconscious interpretations of scarcity into signals of abundance and capability. The role of curiosity in eliminating scarcity triggers cannot be overstated. Scarcity often arises from fear of the unknown, of failure, or of loss. Curiosity, on the other hand, trains the mind to approach challenges as opportunities for learning and growth. By consistently asking questions, exploring alternatives, and seeking solutions, the subconscious is conditioned to expect expansion rather than restriction. Every inquiry, every experiment, every new attempt reinforces the perception that the world is abundant and capable of supporting progress. Mindfulness and reflection serve as tools to detect lingering scarcity triggers. Regular practice of observing thoughts without judgment allows patterns to surface naturally. Journaling, meditation, or structured contemplation highlight subtle anxieties or assumptions about limitation. Once identified, these triggers can be consciously countered with evidence, action, or reframing. Mindfulness not only interrupts automatic scarcity loops, but also strengthens the neural pathways necessary for abundant, proactive thinking. Resilience is intertwined with eliminating scarcity triggers. The brain often defaults to scarcity when confronted with failure, rejection, or loss. Building mental resilience ensures that setbacks are interpreted as temporary, solvable challenges rather than confirmation of limitation. By repeatedly practicing recovery, reframing, and strategic response to adversity, the subconscious learns that resources and opportunity remain available despite obstacles. Scarcity thinking diminishes as the mind internalizes success through adaptation rather than avoidance. Decision-making also transforms once scarcity triggers are neutralized. Where fear and hesitation once governed choices, clarity and confidence emerge. Opportunities are evaluated based on potential rather than risk alone. Investments, partnerships, and career moves are approached from a mindset of sufficiency and possibility. The subconscious now acts as an ally, automatically recognizing pathways for growth and signaling the brain toward proactive, wealth-oriented decisions. The process of eliminating scarcity triggers is cumulative. Each practice, awareness, affirmation, visualization, environmental design, deliberate action, gratitude, language adjustment, curiosity, mindfulness, and resilience, reinforces the others. Together, they override subconscious circuits that once constrained thinking and behavior. Over time, the mind functions as a fertile field, continuously generating ideas, spotting opportunities, and acting in alignment with abundance rather than restriction. Ultimately, eliminating scarcity triggers is not about denying reality or ignoring risk. It is about reshaping perception so that limitations are evaluated objectively, fear is managed strategically, and opportunity is recognized clearly. The subconscious mind no longer operates from a place of lack, but instead anticipates and responds to abundance naturally. Decisions become bolder, creativity expands, and the brain consistently seeks ways to leverage resources, knowledge, and connections for growth. The journey to remove scarcity triggers is transformative. Life becomes a reflection of abundance, and the mind develops an internal ecosystem where confidence, clarity, and strategic action dominate. Wealth, opportunity, and growth cease to feel rare or uncertain. Each day, reinforced through repetition, action, and observation, rewires the subconscious to see life not as a series of shortages, but as a landscape of possibilities waiting to be realized. Number 5. Activate opportunity-seeking neural pathways. The brain is a pattern-seeking organ, constantly scanning the environment for signals that guide behavior, survival, and growth. Most people, however, default to patterns that prioritize safety and routine, often missing the countless opportunities that surround them. Opportunity seeking is not a matter of luck or random chance. It is a skill that can be trained by deliberately activating neural pathways that recognize potential, assess value, and inspire action. By strengthening these circuits, the mind begins to anticipate possibilities, connect ideas, and respond proactively, turning everyday situations into fertile ground for growth and wealth. The first step in activating opportunity-seeking pathways is cultivating attentiveness. Opportunities rarely announce themselves loudly. They are subtle, hidden within patterns, relationships, or emerging trends. Paying deliberate attention to details that most overlook, shifts in market behavior, evolving technologies, unmet needs, or inefficiencies, trains the brain to spot openings others dismiss. Daily exercises in observation sharpen the mind's perceptual acuity. Noticing small inconsistencies, trends, or gaps fosters a neural network that automatically scans for potential advantages, creating a habit of discovery rather than passive consumption. Curiosity serves as the engine for opportunity detection. A mind that habitually asks questions, explores alternative perspectives, and experiments with possibilities strengthens neural circuits designed to seek novelty and value. By engaging curiosity consistently, the brain begins to recognize patterns that suggest profitable or advantageous action. Curiosity encourages mental flexibility, allowing for innovative solutions and unconventional approaches. Each exploration, even if it yields no immediate reward, reinforces the brain's expectation that valuable discoveries exist, promoting a proactive rather than reactive stance toward the world. Exposure to diverse knowledge accelerates the development of opportunity-seeking pathways. The mind forms connections between seemingly unrelated concepts, generating insight and foresight. Reading broadly, engaging with experts, attending events, and studying different disciplines create neural scaffolding that enhances pattern recognition. Cross-disciplinary thinking primes the brain to detect opportunities that are not immediately obvious within a single domain. Innovation and wealth often emerge from the intersections of knowledge, and the more varied the inputs, the more robust the neural networks capable of identifying potential advantage. Repetition is fundamental to strengthening opportunity-seeking pathways. Neural circuits grow stronger through consistent activation. Daily exercises, such as brainstorming ideas, analyzing problems for potential solutions, or identifying gaps in processes, train the brain to default toward proactive discovery. When the mind repeatedly engages in these behaviors, it begins to seek opportunities automatically, scanning environments and conversations for openings. This habitual approach converts opportunity recognition from a conscious effort into a reflexive, instinctive skill. Risk tolerance is closely linked to opportunity seeking. The brain often defaults to avoidance due to fear of loss or failure. By gradually exposing oneself to calculated risks, the mind develops the capacity to evaluate possibilities without paralysis. Each successful risk, regardless of magnitude, reinforces the notion that exploration and action can yield positive outcomes. Simultaneously, failures serve as feedback, teaching the brain how to navigate uncertainty more effectively. This iterative learning strengthens neural pathways associated with confident and discerning opportunity-seeking behavior. Visualizing reinforces the brain's ability to anticipate and act on opportunity. Mentally rehearsing scenarios where potential openings are identified and acted upon primes the mind for real-world application. Visualization strengthens pathways associated with creativity, decision-making, and initiative. When consistently practiced, this process reduces hesitation and enhances the brain's ability to rapidly assess value, potential gain, and risk. Opportunity seeking becomes a practiced skill as familiar neural patterns guide both perception and response toward beneficial action. Social engagement amplifies opportunity detection. Networking with diverse individuals exposes the brain to information, perspectives, and insights that may otherwise remain accessible. Conversations, collaborations, and mentorship provide external stimuli that activate neural circuits tuned to recognize advantage. By actively seeking interactions with proactive, successful, and forward-thinking individuals, the mind internalizes patterns of opportunity-oriented thinking. Social environments become catalysts, reinforcing the mental habit of scanning for potential, connecting ideas, and translating insight into action. Habitual reflection strengthens opportunity-seeking skills. After each day or project, reviewing decisions, outcomes, and potential alternatives enhances the brain's ability to recognize opportunity in future scenarios. Reflection allows for the identification of overlooked possibilities, the evaluation of risk assessment, and the refinement of strategic thinking. Neural pathways consolidate through repeated analysis, creating automatic recognition of cues that signal potential gain. This metacognitive approach ensures that experience continuously enhances the mind's capacity to act effectively when opportunity presents itself. Gratitude and positive framing support opportunity seeking by conditioning the brain to focus on growth rather than limitation. Individuals who habitually appreciate resources, achievements, and relationships are more likely to perceive opportunities in challenges rather than barriers. Positive framing shifts perception from fear-driven avoidance to proactive exploration. The brain begins to interpret obstacles as openings for innovation, gaps in resources as possibilities for creation, and constraints as invitations for strategic action. This mindset aligns closely with the neural architecture that supports opportunity-oriented behavior. Decision-making proficiency enhances opportunity activation. Recognizing a potential opening is insufficient without the ability to act decisively. By practicing rapid, informed decision-making, the brain strengthens circuits that link recognition of value to execution. Each completed action reinforces the connection between insight and impact, solidifying neural pathways that favor initiative. Opportunity seeking becomes a self-reinforcing loop. Detection leads to action, action provides feedback, and feedback primes the mind for future recognition and response. Environmental cues play a vital role in shaping opportunity-oriented thinking. Surroundings that stimulate creativity, innovation, and focus activate neural circuits responsible for exploration and assessment. Removing distractions, creating spaces for reflection and strategic planning, and maintaining organized, stimulating environments allow the brain to operate at peak capacity. Opportunities are more easily recognized when the mind is free from clutter, stress, or competing low-value stimuli. Design becomes a tool for reinforcing neural habits that prioritize insight and initiative. Incremental action compounds opportunity-seeking ability. Each small step, testing an idea, connecting with a potential partner, or exploring a new market, trains the brain to anticipate and act on possibilities. Repeated microactions develop confidence, skill, and pattern recognition. Over time, the brain treats opportunity as an accessible and expected component of daily life. The neural pathways responsible for initiative, evaluation, and execution become deeply ingrained, reducing hesitation and increasing responsiveness to the hidden signals that signify potential advantage. Resilience reinforces the neural architecture of opportunity recognition. Setbacks, rejections, or failures are inevitable, but a mind trained to persist interprets these events as data rather than defeat. Each recovery, adaptation, and re-engagement strengthens neural circuits that support proactive behavior. By consistently responding to challenges with creativity, analysis, and action, the brain reinforces its ability to identify openings, evaluate their potential, and seize them effectively, even in the face of adversity. Activating opportunity-seeking neural pathways transforms the way life is perceived and experienced. Rather than waiting passively for success, the brain actively scans, interprets, and responds to situations in ways that generate advantage. This skill is cumulative, growing stronger with attention, practice, and reflection. It shapes perception, guides behavior, and builds confidence, enabling the individual to convert challenges into openings, problems into solutions, and ideas into tangible results. The process of activating these pathways is deliberate yet natural. Attentiveness, curiosity, diverse input, repetition, calculated risk, visualization, social engagement, reflection, positive framing, decision-making, environmental optimization, incremental action, and resilience collectively train the brain to perceive life as a network of possibilities rather than a set of limitations. Wealth, growth, and opportunity are no longer contingent on chance. They become the inevitable outcome of a mind wired to seek, recognize, and act. By consistently exercising the mind in these ways, the neural architecture of opportunity seeking becomes second nature. The brain begins to anticipate openings, connect ideas across contexts, and respond decisively to potential gains. This transformation is profound. Life shifts from reactive existence to proactive creation, and each decision, observation, and action becomes an opportunity to expand, innovate, and thrive. Opportunity seeking is no longer an occasional skill. It becomes an instinctive, automatic, and reliable function of a disciplined, trained mind. Number 6. Strengthen financial intuition with repetition. Financial intuition is the internal compass that guides individuals to make smart money decisions with confidence and speed. It is a skill that feels like instinct, yet it is built through experience, observation, and consistent practice. Unlike theoretical knowledge, which relies on memorized formulas or external advice, financial intuition is the ability to sense opportunities, anticipate risks, and recognize patterns in markets, investments, or personal financial decisions. Strengthening this intuition is not a matter of luck or innate talent. It is a deliberate process that trains the brain through repetition, reflection, and disciplined action, gradually converting experience into instinctive insight. The first step in developing financial intuition is active engagement with money-related decisions on a regular basis. Waiting passively for the right investment, deal, or financial move slows learning. By repeatedly exposing oneself to financial scenarios, whether budgeting, negotiating, investing, or analyzing trends, the brain begins to recognize recurring patterns and signals. Each decision, small or large, contributes to the neural map of financial experience. The mind starts to connect actions to outcomes, building an internal library of cause and effect that becomes the foundation for intuitive insight. Observation is essential in this process. Intuition is sharpened when the brain is trained to notice subtle cues, correlations, and trends. Tracking market movements, studying financial statements, or examining the decisions of successful individuals provides valuable information that the mind internalizes. This observation is active and purposeful. It is not about passive consumption, but about identifying patterns and anomalies that can inform future choices. Repetition in observation builds mental models that allow rapid assessment of new situations, forming the backbone of reliable financial intuition. Pattern recognition is the core mechanism through which repetition strengthens intuition. Every transaction, investment, or financial interaction contains signals that, when repeated over time, teach the brain to anticipate outcomes. Repeated exposure to diverse scenarios, such as analyzing cash flow, evaluating business proposals, or observing negotiation tactics, creates neural circuits that detect profitable opportunities and potential pitfalls quickly. The more scenarios encountered and reflected upon, the more the brain can make decisions based on instinctive understanding rather than lengthy deliberation. Simulation exercises accelerate the development of intuition. By creating hypothetical scenarios or modeling financial outcomes, the brain practices decision-making without the immediate risk of loss. These exercises allow experimentation, testing strategies, and observing consequences repeatedly, strengthening mental pathways responsible for rapid and accurate financial judgment. Even without tangible financial stakes, the repetition of analysis, prediction, and adjustment reinforces cognitive patterns that improve instinctive evaluation in real-world situations. Reflection enhances the power of repetition. After every financial decision, it is vital to review outcomes, successes, and mistakes. By consciously analyzing what went right or wrong, the brain consolidates learning, refining the internal algorithms that guide future choices. Journaling or detailed note-taking amplifies this effect by providing a record that the mind can reference repeatedly. Reflection ensures that repetition does not become mindless, but is instead purposeful, converting each experience into durable intuitive knowledge. Incremental challenges optimize growth. Financial intuition develops most rapidly when the mind is exposed to situations that stretch ability without overwhelming it, gradually increasing complexity from simple budgeting to analyzing investment options or negotiating contracts, teaches the brain to recognize nuanced patterns and subtle opportunities. Each successful navigation of a slightly more complex scenario reinforces confidence and strengthens neural pathways, creating a compounding effect where intuition grows sharper, faster, and more reliable over time. Exposure to diverse financial situations also enhances intuition. Markets, industries, and personal financial decisions all operate under different dynamics. By experiencing a wide range of scenarios, the brain develops flexible models that can adapt to varying contexts. Repetition across multiple domains, investing in stocks, managing personal cash flow, evaluating business opportunities, enables the mind to detect transferable patterns. This versatility allows intuition to operate effectively, even in unfamiliar or rapidly changing environments, reducing reliance on external guidance and increasing independence in decision-making. Mindfulness during financial activity reinforces learning. Being fully present while analyzing trends, negotiating deals, or making purchases enhances the brain's ability to detect subtle cues that might otherwise be overlooked. Repetition in a state of heightened awareness strengthens the quality of neural connections, ensuring that intuitive responses are not only fast but accurate. Mindful repetition allows for deeper absorption of experience, creating a sharper internal sense of value, timing, and risk assessment. Feedback loops are crucial for fine-tuning intuition. Immediate evaluation of decisions, whether in personal finance, investment, or business, creates a rapid reinforcement cycle. Correct judgments reinforce confidence and pattern recognition, while mistakes provide corrective data that recalibrates intuition. Repeating this cycle across numerous financial interactions accelerates the development of instinctive insight. Each iteration teaches the mind to anticipate consequences, detect profitable signals, and avoid costly errors, transforming trial and error into a precise, efficient learning mechanism. Consistency amplifies results. Financial intuition is not strengthened through sporadic action or occasional analysis. It grows through disciplined, continuous engagement. Daily or weekly routines that involve financial review, scenario analysis, or decision-making exercises create a steady stream of repetitions that the brain encodes into instinctive understanding. Over time, these consistent interactions allow the mind to respond to complex financial situations with confident speed and accuracy, turning learned knowledge into automatic intuitive skill. Mentorship and observation of experts further enhance intuitive growth. By studying how seasoned individuals approach financial decisions, the mind absorbs patterns and heuristics that have been refined through years of experience. Repeatedly observing strategies, evaluating outcomes, and comparing them to personal actions strengthens internal models. Mentorship accelerates the learning curve, providing concentrated exposure to successful behaviors that can be internalized and executed intuitively. Decision simulation combined with real-world application creates powerful reinforcement. Each time a financial decision is made after hypothetical practice, the brain integrates theory and experience, solidifying neural pathways associated with intuition. The repetition of this cycle, simulate, act, reflect, ensures that the mind not only predicts outcomes accurately, but also executes decisions effectively under pressure. Over time, this repetition transforms conscious effort into natural, instinctive financial acumen. Risk assessment is integral to building intuition. Repeatedly evaluating potential gains and losses across diverse scenarios trains the mind to sense probability, impact, and opportunity rapidly. With each repeated analysis, the brain becomes more adept at balancing reward and caution, allowing for confident action without excessive hesitation. Financial intuition thrives when risk is consistently engaged, analyzed and internalized, producing a mind that instinctively navigates uncertainty with precision. Finally, patience and persistence are essential companions in the development of financial intuition. Neural pathways strengthen gradually through repetition, and the mind requires time to internalize patterns and translate them into instinctive action. Each deliberate, repeated exercise, whether observing, simulating, reflecting, or acting, accumulates into a mental framework capable of rapid, confident, and accurate financial judgment. Intuition becomes a tool that guides decision-making effortlessly, turning complexity into clarity and opportunity into tangible results. Strengthening financial intuition through repetition is a systematic process of engagement, observation, reflection, simulation, and application. Each repeated action, thought, or analysis creates neural pathways that enhance pattern recognition, judgment, and instinctive decision-making. Over time, the brain develops a finely tuned sense of timing, opportunity, and value. Financial intuition evolves from deliberate practice into automatic skill, allowing individuals to navigate the complexities of money with confidence, insight, and precision. The mind, trained through consistent, mindful repetition, transforms experience into instinct. Each interaction, calculation, and decision reinforces internal models, making the brain a reliable guide for detecting opportunity, assessing risk, and acting decisively. This skill, once cultivated, produces compounding results, faster decisions, more accurate judgments, and increasingly strategic financial behavior. Strengthening financial intuition is not a passive process. It is an active, disciplined, and deliberate practice that converts experience into a refined, instinctive ability to create and sustain wealth. Number 7. Train focus to multiply income. Focus is the lens through which effort transforms into results. The brain is capable of extraordinary output, yet scattered attention dissipates energy and reduces effectiveness. Multiplying income is rarely a result of working harder in a fragmented way. It is the outcome of concentrated effort directed at high-value tasks. Training focus is the process of conditioning the mind to prioritize what matters, resist distraction, and sustain attention over extended periods. By deliberately cultivating this capacity, the brain becomes a powerful engine for income growth, amplifying both productivity and financial results. The first step in training focus is understanding the cost of divided attention. Every distraction, emails, notifications, social media, or trivial tasks, splits energy and reduces the effectiveness of concentrated effort. The mind is not designed for multitasking. Attempting it produces superficial work and limits the brain's capacity to identify opportunities, solve problems, or generate creative solutions. Recognizing the impact of fragmented attention provides motivation to structure the day around periods of uninterrupted work, where mental resources are fully devoted to high-leverage activities. Time blocking is a foundational technique for cultivating focus. By assigning specific intervals to particular tasks or projects, the brain anticipates periods of concentrated effort and learns to operate within defined boundaries. Early mornings or peak energy periods are ideal for the most critical income-generating work. During these windows, distractions must be minimized and attention devoted entirely to a single task. Repeated practice strengthens neural circuits that support sustained concentration, making the brain more efficient at deep, productive work that directly contributes to financial growth. Clarity of purpose enhances focus exponentially. The mind naturally resists tasks that lack meaning or direction. Defining clear, measurable goals, Whether earning a target income, launching a project, or expanding a business provides the brain with a framework for prioritization. Each action becomes purposeful, aligned with outcomes that matter most. When the brain understands the stakes, focus becomes easier as the mind instinctively filters irrelevant stimuli and directs energy toward activities that multiply income. Eliminating distractions is essential for training attention. The environment must be curated to minimize interruptions. This includes physical adjustments such as maintaining a clean workspace, turning off notifications, or designating specific areas for focused work. Digital clutter must also be managed, with email, social media, and apps used intentionally rather than habitually. A controlled environment trains the brain to associate focus with specific contexts, creating neural pathways that make deep concentration increasingly natural. Mindfulness techniques strengthen the ability to sustain attention. Practices such as meditation, breath awareness, or single-task exercises condition the brain to notice wandering thoughts and redirect attention without judgment. Over time, this creates a mental muscle capable of resisting distraction, maintaining clarity, and executing complex tasks efficiently. Mindfulness trains not only the capacity for attention, but also the quality of thought, allowing income-generating efforts to be more strategic, precise, and innovative. Prioritization is a companion to focus. The mind has limited cognitive resources, so not every task can receive equal attention. Identifying high-impact activities, those that have the greatest potential to increase income, ensures that mental energy is applied where it matters most. Low-value or trivial work, no matter how urgent it feels, must be deferred, delegated, or eliminated. Repeated practice in prioritization strengthens the brain's ability to distinguish between effort and outcome, aligning concentration with the highest financial return. Repetition and habit formation solidify focus. Just as muscles grow through repeated exercise, the brain strengthens attention circuits through consistent practice. Daily routines that incorporate dedicated periods for deep work, strategic planning, skill development, or problem-solving train the mind to enter a state of concentrated productivity automatically. Over time, the brain requires less conscious effort to maintain focus, allowing complex tasks to be executed efficiently and effectively, directly impacting income potential. Incremental exposure to challenging tasks further enhances focus. Tackling complex projects that require sustained thought, decision-making, and problem-solving trains the mind to resist distraction under pressure. Each successfully completed challenge builds confidence, reinforces attention pathways, and demonstrates the tangible benefits of sustained mental effort. Gradually increasing difficulty ensures continuous growth, preventing complacency and maximizing the brain's ability to concentrate on tasks that multiply income. Visualization and mental rehearsal support focused execution. By imagining the successful completion of tasks, overcoming obstacles, and achieving specific income targets, the brain primes itself for action. Neural circuits involved in goal-directed behavior are activated, making the mind more likely to maintain attention and follow through in real scenarios. Repeated visualization enhances clarity, motivation, and the persistence needed to complete high-impact work efficiently. Feedback loops reinforce focus. Regularly reviewing completed work, evaluating results, and analyzing performance trains the brain to recognize the value of sustained attention. By linking concentrated effort with measurable outcomes, the mind internalizes the connection between focus and financial success. This reinforcement strengthens motivation, making it easier to resist distractions and maintain attention on activities that generate significant income over time. Energy management is a crucial element of sustaining attention. The brain functions optimally when physical, emotional, and mental resources are regulated. Adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, and periods of rest ensure that focus can be maintained at high levels. Exercise and movement increase blood flow and cognitive efficiency, further enhancing the ability to concentrate. Mental discipline is most effective when supported by consistent attention to physical and emotional well-being, as energy and focus are deeply interlinked. Decision-making is sharpened through focused thought. When attention is concentrated on critical tasks, the mind processes information more thoroughly, anticipates challenges, and identifies high-value solutions. Focused analysis reduces errors, speeds up execution, and enhances strategic thinking, enabling income-generating decisions to be made with clarity and confidence. The combination of concentrated energy and disciplined thought amplifies results, ensuring that effort translates directly into measurable financial gain. Deliberate practice of focus extends to managing interruptions and distractions. The mind is conditioned to recognize triggers and redirect attention efficiently. By repeatedly practicing re-engagement after interruptions, the brain develops resilience in concentration, minimizing lost productivity. Over time, maintaining flow during critical work becomes instinctive, allowing prolonged periods of high-output activity without mental fatigue or loss of clarity. Collaboration and delegation amplify the effect of trained focus. By concentrating on tasks that directly multiply income and delegating lower-value responsibilities, the brain's attention is preserved for the most impactful actions. Repeatedly practicing strategic focus in combination with selective delegation strengthens the neural habit of prioritization, ensuring energy is always directed toward outcomes with the greatest return. Persistence and patience are vital for sustaining focus over time. Multiplying income is rarely the result of brief effort or intermittent attention. It emerges from consistent, high-quality work applied over extended periods. Mental discipline, reinforced daily, ensures that attention remains anchored to meaningful tasks, producing compounding results that significantly enhance financial outcomes. The more consistently focus is applied, the greater the return on mental energy and strategic action. Training focus to multiply income is a systematic practice that combines awareness of distraction, environmental design, energy management, prioritization, repetition, incremental challenge, visualization, reflection, and persistence. Each component reinforces the others, creating a mental ecosystem where concentrated effort produces extraordinary results. The brain, conditioned through consistent practice, transforms scattered attention into a powerful tool for financial growth, turning deliberate, focused action into a multiplier of income. Number 8. Replace emotional spending with strategy. Money is a tool, yet too often it becomes an outlet for emotion rather than a vehicle for growth. Emotional spending, impulsive purchases driven by stress, boredom, excitement, or social influence, creates temporary satisfaction but erodes long-term financial stability and wealth accumulation. Breaking the cycle requires replacing impulsive reactions with deliberate strategy, training the brain to assess value, anticipate consequences, and prioritize goals over immediate gratification. By consciously transforming the relationship with money, individuals can redirect resources toward activities that compound wealth, create security, and strengthen financial confidence. The first step is awareness. Emotional spending is rarely deliberate. It occurs as a habitual response to internal or external triggers. By tracking every purchase and noting the emotional state at the moment, patterns begin to emerge. Stress-induced shopping, celebratory splurges, or attempts to impress others can be clearly identified when attention is applied. Recognizing these triggers is critical because the brain cannot adjust behavior without understanding the underlying cause. Each observed impulse is a signal, highlighting areas where strategy must replace reaction. Next, establishing financial boundaries transforms the decision-making process. Limits on spending, predetermined budgets, and clear allocation of resources provide structure that reduces the influence of fleeting emotion. When money is assigned intentionally to categories, savings, investment, necessities, and discretionary funds, the mind develops discipline. Repetition of this practice creates neural pathways that favor thoughtful action over impulse. Boundaries act as both guide and barrier, channeling behavior toward long-term objectives while curbing opportunities for emotional overspending. Delaying gratification is a critical tool in building strategic financial habits. The brain often reacts immediately to stimuli, equating purchase with satisfaction. By implementing a waiting period, 24 hours, a week, or until specific financial goals are met, impulsive purchases lose their power. During this time, reflection allows for assessment of need versus desire, utility versus pleasure, and long-term value versus short-term satisfaction. Each practice delay strengthens self-control, teaching the brain to associate mindful consideration with positive financial outcomes. Reframing money as a growth tool, rather than a comfort object, shifts mindset from consumption to creation. Emotional spending often stems from a subconscious search for reward or validation. When money is perceived as a resource for investment, skill building, or opportunity, the brain recalibrates its reward system. Each dollar becomes a strategic instrument, capable of generating more resources, influence, or freedom. This mental shift diminishes the appeal of impulsive consumption, aligning emotional satisfaction with productive, wealth-enhancing activity. Automation enhances strategic behavior by removing the opportunity for emotion to intervene. Directing a portion of income automatically into savings, investment accounts, or debt repayment ensures that essential financial goals are consistently addressed. Over time, the brain associates automated action with reliability, security, and forward progress, reducing reliance on willpower during moments of temptation. Repetition of automated financial management reinforces habits that prioritize strategy over emotion. Visualization and mental rehearsal strengthen decision-making skills in financial matters. By imagining scenarios where purchasing decisions are guided by strategy rather than impulse, the mind practices self-control before facing real-world temptation. Visualizing long-term benefits, such as compound interest growth, financial freedom, or debt reduction, reinforces the reward pathways associated with patient, strategic action. Each rehearsal primes the brain to respond thoughtfully, ensuring that impulse is replaced with informed, deliberate choice. Gratitude and value recognition serve as counterweights to emotional spending. Impulsive purchases often occur when the brain seeks fulfillment or novelty. Reflecting on existing resources, accomplishments, and meaningful possessions reduces the urge to seek satisfaction externally. The mind becomes conditioned to derive pleasure from what is already available, strengthening contentment while redirecting resources toward opportunities that produce growth. This practice reinforces strategic use of funds and minimizes waste driven by transient emotion. Decision frameworks provide practical structure to guide financial behavior. Techniques such as cost-benefit analysis, needs versus wants evaluation, and financial goal mapping allow the brain to systematically assess each potential expenditure. By applying consistent criteria, emotional impulses are overridden by rational assessment. Over time, the repetition of these frameworks strengthens neural circuits associated with strategic choice, allowing high-impact financial decisions to be made automatically and confidently. Environmental management reduces exposure to triggers that provoke emotional spending. Advertising, social media, peer pressure, and certain social settings often act as cues that prompt impulsive behavior. By curating surroundings, limiting unnecessary exposure to marketing, avoiding high-pressure sales environments, and associating with like-minded individuals who value financial prudence, the brain receives consistent signals that reinforce strategy over impulse. A supportive environment accelerates the internalization of disciplined spending habits. Reflection on past behavior consolidates learning and reinforces strategic patterns. Reviewing purchases, evaluating their alignment with financial goals, and considering alternative actions trains the brain to detect patterns and anticipate future challenges. Each act of reflection strengthens the connection between cause and effect, embedding lessons from experience into intuitive financial decision-making. Emotional impulses are gradually replaced by habitual analysis, enhancing confidence and reducing regret. Incremental goal setting amplifies the effect of strategic thinking. Small, achievable financial objectives such as saving a fixed amount weekly, reducing discretionary spending, or investing consistently create measurable progress. Each success reinforces the value of thoughtful financial behavior, strengthening motivation and neural pathways associated with deliberate action. Gradually, larger goals are approached with the same strategic mindset, producing compounding results in wealth accumulation and financial stability. Social accountability accelerates behavior change. Sharing goals with trusted peers, mentors, or partners creates external reinforcement that discourages impulsive spending. Regular check-ins, transparent tracking, and collaborative planning ensure that financial decisions remain aligned with long-term objectives. Accountability provides motivation, feedback, and validation, further embedding strategic behavior as the default approach to money management. Mindful engagement with financial education strengthens the brain's ability to act strategically. Continuous learning about investment, budgeting, tax planning, and wealth-building strategies provides context for decision-making. Repeated exposure to principles of financial literacy allows the brain to assess purchases, opportunities, and risks with clarity. Knowledge combined with disciplined practice produces an intuitive ability to prioritize spending that generates value rather than transient satisfaction. Emotional intelligence complements strategic financial behavior. Recognizing internal triggers, stress, excitement, or social pressure, and managing responses prevents impulsive actions. Each time the brain is trained to pause, assess, and act in alignment with long-term goals, neural circuits favor strategy over emotion. Emotional regulation enhances clarity, improves judgment, and reduces vulnerability to short-term impulses that undermine wealth creation. Replacing emotional spending with strategy is not an instant transformation, but a cumulative process. Awareness, boundary setting, delayed gratification, reframing, automation, visualization, gratitude, frameworks, environmental control, reflection, goal setting, accountability, education, and emotional intelligence all contribute to rewiring the brain's approach to money. Repetition of these practices gradually eliminates impulsive behavior, replacing it with confident, deliberate action that maximizes value and accelerates wealth accumulation. The result of this transformation is profound. Financial decisions become intentional, resources are directed toward growth, and money becomes a tool for opportunity rather than fleeting pleasure. Strategic behavior reinforces confidence, reduces stress, and amplifies outcomes. Emotional impulses no longer dictate spending. The mind operates from a framework of clarity, discipline, and foresight. Wealth multiplies not through luck or deprivation, but through the repeated deliberate practice of thoughtful strategic action. turning every financial choice into an opportunity for growth and long-term prosperity. Number 9. Build millionaire thinking through routines. Success and wealth are rarely the result of random strokes of luck. They emerge from disciplined patterns, consistent behaviors, and routines that shape the mind to operate at a higher level. Millionaire thinking is a mindset cultivated through repeated, intentional practices that orient the brain toward growth, opportunity, and strategic action. Routines serve as the framework for this transformation, providing structure, reinforcing productive habits, and gradually rewiring the subconscious to default toward behaviors that generate wealth. By consistently practicing high-value routines, the brain internalizes principles of focus, persistence, foresight, and strategic execution, making success a natural outcome rather than a distant aspiration. The first step in building millionaire thinking is designing daily rituals that prioritize clarity, intention, and high-leverage action. Morning routines, in particular, set the tone for cognitive performance and decision-making. Starting the day with activities such as meditation, exercise, journaling, or planning primes the brain for focus and resilience. Repetition of these practices trains neural pathways to anticipate growth-oriented thought patterns, reduces mental clutter, and reinforces discipline. Over time, these small but consistent actions compound, preparing the mind to approach challenges strategically rather than reactively. Prioritization within routines is essential. Millionaire thinking emphasizes activities that produce the highest return on time and energy. By habitually identifying and executing high-impact tasks first, the brain develops a default orientation toward value creation. Daily routines that include focused work blocks, strategic planning sessions, and skill development ensure that attention is consistently directed toward actions that enhance income, opportunities, and personal growth. Repeated practice reinforces neural pathways that link effort with tangible results, embedding a natural bias for productive action. Continuous learning is a cornerstone of routines that cultivate wealth-focused thinking. Daily habits that include reading, listening to educational content, or engaging with mentors ensure a constant influx of new knowledge and perspectives. Exposure to diverse ideas trains the brain to recognize opportunities, adapt to evolving markets, and think critically about decisions. The repetition of learning within structured routines builds cognitive flexibility, allowing the mind to integrate insight with action, thereby strengthening the foundation of millionaire thinking. Reflection and journaling enhance the feedback loop necessary for growth. By consistently reviewing achievements, failures, and lessons learned, routines transform experience into insight. Recording progress, tracking goals, and evaluating outcomes reinforce strategic thinking and self-awareness. Neural pathways responsible for pattern recognition, foresight, and decision-making are strengthened, making it easier to identify opportunities, anticipate challenges, and execute plans with precision. Over time, reflection becomes automatic, integrating analysis into daily thought processes and fostering a mindset oriented toward improvement and results. Financial rituals are central to building wealth-oriented thought patterns. Daily tracking of expenses, budgeting, evaluating investments, and reviewing financial goals embed discipline and accountability. Repetition of these activities trains the brain to approach money systematically, reducing impulsivity and reinforcing strategic allocation of resources. Over time, financial mindfulness becomes an automatic habit, guiding choices toward wealth accumulation and aligning everyday actions with long-term prosperity. Physical and mental health routines play a subtle yet crucial role. Exercise, proper nutrition, and restorative rest enhance cognitive performance, emotional stability, and energy levels, all of which are essential for executing high-level strategies. Millionaire thinking thrives when the body and mind operate at peak efficiency, allowing sustained focus, creativity, and resilience. Repetition of wellness habits ensures consistent performance, strengthening the neural architecture that supports disciplined, opportunity-oriented behavior. Networking and relationship building are reinforced through daily routines. Engaging with peers, mentors, and industry leaders regularly cultivates social intelligence, access to opportunities, and collaborative problem-solving skills. Structured practices, such as scheduling meetings, attending events, or reaching out to potential collaborators, ensure that social capital grows steadily. Over time, these repeated interactions train the mind to recognize and act on valuable connections, further embedding the habits that drive wealth creation. Visualization and affirmation routines solidify a mindset attuned to success. Daily mental rehearsal of goals, achievements, and desired outcomes primes neural pathways to anticipate opportunity and respond proactively. Affirmations reinforce confidence, clarity, and persistence, while visualization enhances foresight and strategic planning. Repetition ensures that the brain internalizes a success-oriented narrative, reducing self-doubt and increasing the likelihood that high-value decisions are made consistently and with conviction. Time management routines amplify the effect of high-value behaviors. Scheduling work, planning tasks, and allocating time for skill building, reflection, and relationship management ensure that energy is applied where it produces the greatest return. Repetition of disciplined scheduling trains the mind to resist procrastination, reduce distractions, and maintain focus on long-term objectives. These routines create a rhythm of productive engagement, making the execution of millionaire thinking both systematic and sustainable. Goal setting and review are repeated practices that reinforce strategic thinking. Breaking down long-term objectives into actionable daily steps ensures progress and maintains motivation. Repetition of reviewing progress, adjusting plans, and celebrating small wins trains the brain to recognize cause and effect relationships between effort and results. The mind becomes conditioned to prioritize action, anticipate challenges, and maintain momentum, turning ambitious goals into attainable outcomes through disciplined execution. Adaptation is embedded within routines to maintain growth and resilience. Regular assessment of strategies, responsiveness to feedback, and willingness to iterate ensures that routines remain effective and aligned with evolving objectives. The brain internalizes adaptability as a habit, automatically adjusting approaches in response to new information or changing conditions. This flexibility enhances problem-solving, opportunity recognition, and strategic thinking, all of which are hallmarks of millionaire cognition. Routines also cultivate emotional discipline, a critical component of wealth-focused thinking. Daily practices that incorporate mindfulness, stress management, and reflective exercises train the brain to maintain composure under pressure. By repeatedly exercising emotional control, impulsive reactions are reduced, decisions are guided by strategy rather than emotion, and resilience is reinforced. The integration of emotional discipline within routines ensures that wealth-building behaviors are sustainable, deliberate, and aligned with long-term objectives. Reinforcing accountability through structured routines creates external validation and motivation. Tracking outcomes, sharing progress with mentors, and establishing checkpoints encourages adherence to habits and ensures consistent execution. Repetition of accountability practices strengthens neural pathways associated with responsibility, persistence, and strategic action, making disciplined, wealth-oriented thinking habitual rather than optional. Incremental habit stacking amplifies results. Linking new behaviors to existing routines ensures consistency and reduces friction in adoption. For example, reviewing financial goals immediately after morning exercise or journaling immediately following meditation embeds wealth-oriented practices seamlessly into daily life. Repetition of these sequences strengthens neural connections, creating automatic high-value behaviors that underpin millionaire thinking. Building millionaire thinking through routines transforms abstract ambition into concrete action. Each repeated practice, clarity setting, high-value task prioritization, learning, reflection, financial management, health maintenance, networking, visualization, time management, emotional discipline, and accountability reinforces neural pathways that drive strategic, consistent, and growth-oriented behavior. Over time, these routines internalize millionaire cognition, making the mind predisposed to opportunity, efficiency, and wealth creation. The result is a life where strategic thought, deliberate action, and disciplined habits converge. Routines automate focus, decision-making, and growth-oriented behavior, allowing the brain to operate at maximum potential without relying solely on willpower. Millionaire thinking becomes the default mode of operation, where every choice, action, and habit contributes systematically to wealth accumulation, opportunity recognition, and long-term success. Repetition through carefully designed routines transforms mindset into performance, creating a sustainable framework for financial and personal mastery. Number 10. Recondition beliefs to attract abundance. Beliefs are the invisible architects of reality. They shape perception, guide decisions, and influence the outcomes we experience in life. For many, limiting beliefs, ideas rooted in fear, doubt, or past conditioning act as invisible barriers that constrain wealth, opportunity, and personal growth. Reconditioning beliefs is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a deliberate rewiring of the subconscious mind to interpret the world through the lens of possibility, abundance, and strategic opportunity. By transforming foundational assumptions, the brain begins to act in alignment with growth, creating a mindset that naturally attracts wealth and opportunity. The first step in reconditioning beliefs is identifying those that limit potential. These often manifest as internal statements, such as, "I don't deserve success," "there's never enough," or "opportunities are rare." Limiting beliefs may arise from childhood experiences, societal messaging, or repeated failure, and they subtly influence behavior without conscious awareness. Observing patterns in thought, emotion, and decision-making makes recognition of these constraints. Journaling, meditation, and reflection provide tools to bring hidden beliefs to the surface, revealing the assumptions that need transformation. Once identified, beliefs must be challenged rigorously. Every limiting thought should be examined against evidence, logic, and experience. For example, the statement, "I will never have enough money," can be deconstructed by reviewing past achievements, current resources, and opportunities for growth. Questioning these beliefs repeatedly weakens their grip on the subconscious mind. The process of consistent examination creates mental tension that the brain resolves by forming new, more adaptive patterns. Beliefs that embrace abundance, capability, and possibility. Visualization is a powerful tool in reconditioning beliefs. Imagining oneself living in a state of abundance, making confident decisions, creating wealth, and navigating life with clarity, trains the subconscious mind to expect these outcomes. Repeated mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways associated with confidence, initiative, and success. The brain begins to interpret imagined scenarios as familiar patterns, reducing resistance and aligning actions with the principles of growth. Over time, visualization creates a deep-seated sense of entitlement to opportunity and prosperity, Affirmations complement visualization by providing verbal reinforcement of new beliefs. Statements such as, "I am capable of creating wealth, resources and opportunities are abundant, and I make decisions that multiply value," repeated daily rewire the mind's response to situations involving opportunity and risk. The subconscious begins to accept these affirmations as reality, gradually overriding outdated, limiting beliefs. Repetition, consistency, and emotional engagement are critical to embedding these new neural patterns effectively. Environmental influence accelerates belief reconditioning. Surroundings, media consumption, and social interactions act as constant reinforcements for existing thought patterns. By intentionally surrounding oneself with sources of inspiration, education, and positivity, the brain receives consistent signals that reinforce abundance-oriented thinking. This includes mentors, peers, literature, podcasts, and environments that encourage growth. Over time, exposure to supportive input strengthens the subconscious expectation of opportunity, enabling the brain to seek and recognize paths to wealth and success naturally. Action reinforces belief transformation. Limiting beliefs persist when untested, but taking deliberate steps toward financial, personal, or professional goals provides concrete evidence that challenges old assumptions. Small wins, consistently achieved, demonstrate to the subconscious that abundance is achievable. Each action, whether investing wisely, launching a project, or improving a skill, rewires neural pathways by linking effort with tangible reward. Through repetition, the brain internalizes the principle that opportunity is accessible and results follow intentional effort. Gratitude accelerates the process of attracting abundance. Recognizing and appreciating existing resources, achievements, and relationships shifts perception from lack to sufficiency. Daily practices of gratitude recalibrate the subconscious to focus on accumulation rather than deficit, training the mind to interpret life as a landscape rich with potential. The repeated mental focus on what is available primes the brain to act in ways that expand these resources, creating a feedback loop where recognition of abundance attracts more opportunity. Mindfulness is critical in maintaining awareness of thoughts, reactions, and assumptions. By observing beliefs as they arise without immediate judgment, the mind gains control over automatic responses. Repeated practice of mindfulness allows for identification of residual scarcity thinking or self-doubt and provides the opportunity to replace them with abundance-oriented responses. This conscious engagement with internal thought patterns ensures that reconditioning is active, deliberate, and sustainable. Learning from mentors and role models reinforces new belief systems. Observing individuals who consistently generate wealth, create opportunities, and demonstrate resilience provides a living example of the principles being internalized. Exposure to their thought processes, decision-making strategies, and habits strengthens neural pathways associated with successful outcomes. Repeated engagement with mentors allows the brain to map new possibilities, normalize abundance-oriented thinking, and internalize practices that consistently produce growth. Language shapes subconscious interpretation and belief. Phrasing thoughts in terms of possibility rather than limitation reinforces abundance thinking. Repeatedly reframing internal dialogue from "I can't" to "how can I" trains the mind to seek solutions rather than dwell on obstacles. Over time, this subtle yet consistent practice transforms habitual thought patterns, aligning perception with opportunity, strategy, and proactive wealth creation. Words become tools that reinforce internalized beliefs of capability and abundance. Incremental exposure to challenges strengthens confidence in the new belief system. When confronted with obstacles, the brain applies reconditioned beliefs to problem-solving, decision-making, and strategy development. Each successful navigation reinforces neural pathways associated with resourcefulness and abundance, gradually erasing old patterns of limitation. Challenges become evidence of capability rather than confirmation of scarcity, solidifying the mindset necessary to attract wealth and opportunity. Repetition, consistency, and reinforcement are the keys to belief transformation. The brain solidifies patterns through frequent activation, so daily engagement with practices such as reflection, visualization, affirmation, gratitude, and action is essential. Each repetition deepens the internalization of abundance-oriented thinking, gradually making it the default mode of cognition. Belief reconditioning is a process of continuous neural growth, where intentional input shapes perception, decision-making, and behavior in alignment with prosperity. Emotional regulation enhances the effectiveness of belief reconditioning. Limiting beliefs often provoke fear, anxiety, or hesitation. Training the mind to maintain composure, respond thoughtfully, and focus on strategic outcomes reduces the influence of emotional turbulence. Repeated practice of emotional control reinforces confidence, enabling the brain to act in accordance with abundance rather than reverting to fear-driven scarcity responses. Reconditioning beliefs to attract abundance ultimately reshapes perception, decision-making, and behavior. The brain moves from default patterns of limitation to instinctive recognition of opportunities, resourcefulness, and strategic growth. Financial decisions, personal development, and daily actions begin to align with principles of abundance, producing measurable results. Over time, repeated practices of reflection, visualization, affirmation, gratitude, action, mindfulness, and emotional regulation transform the subconscious mind, creating a mindset that naturally attracts wealth, opportunity, and fulfillment. The transformation is cumulative and compounding. Each day of consistent practice strengthens neural pathways, replacing doubt with confidence, scarcity with expectation, and hesitation with proactive decision-making. Life becomes a reflection of internalized abundance. Opportunities are recognized, risks are managed strategically, and resources are leveraged for growth. Reconditioning beliefs is not a temporary exercise, it is a permanent restructuring of thought that allows the mind to perceive, interpret, and act in alignment with prosperity, producing lasting financial and personal success.